I don't know.
I tried asking him a similar question. He couldn't come up with
I'd say my
one.
mom and dad, Karen.
Bill Bavarian.
Sure, we'll give Bill Barbarian the top 5.
Who's Bill?
He was my basketball coach.
Ooh.
I learned a lot from him.
What about John Wooden? Throw him in there.
No.
Okay, so we got 4 people.
Craig Rasmussen.
Craig Rasmussen's a good one. He was
Very influential.
when I was how old were we? We bought our first home. So Jess was just born.
Jess was 6 weeks old.
They made me young men's president in the Fishers ward. And I was just a kid, and I was just trying to figure out life. And Craig was a little bit older. He had a little bit more experience, and he worked at Lilly with me. And I called him to be my first counselor to help me. He was a great mentor and a help to me at a very critical time in my life. Probably one of the best things that we did. I was a pansy, I guess. I was lazy. I didn't want to do difficult things, and so as we do activities with the boys, I never wanted to do much where we did a lot of traveling and went long distances. It was a Wednesday night activity and be done. Craig wanted to say, well, let's do some fun things with these boys. Let's really do some really fun things. And so he said, let's go canoe the Boundary Waters up in Canada for a week. And I go, oh crap, that's a lot. But he was the one that was a venturer that kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I have some very choice memories and choice experiences by doing some of that. I remember going up to the Boundary Waters thinking, okay, I was probably 30 years old, and we were taking probably 12 boys out into the wilderness. 12 young boys out in the wilderness, and I was responsible for them. And I'm thinking, oh crap, the night before we were supposed to leave, I was just sweating bullets thinking, how am I going to get these kids back to their parents without them dying? And but it was one of the best experiences I've ever had, and he got me on that path where I learned the importance of doing hard things and teaching boys how to do hard things. And he was a good influence and a good mentor for me. I'll tell you this one good story. I remember this story. I remember as a kid, we lived down at Sunset, what was the name of that street? Sunset Avenue, which was just south of at the time, was it the middle school or the grade school? It was probably grade school. And I remember, I'm an adventurer. I've learned that I'm an adventurer and I love to go on adventures. And I remember going for a walk thinking I could find my way home. And I remember, if you know West Lafayette very well, you go up Salisbury Hill, and up there on the top there's that cemetery, and there's where Grant Street comes in. So anyway, I went for a walk, very confident that I could find my way home. And I got up there on the top portion up there by Salisbury, up by Burtsfield, and I got lost. And I remember starting to cry, and I was probably only 5 years old. And I remember somebody must have called the police, but I remember a policeman coming and picking me up and helping me find my way home back to. So that's one of my first memories as a kid.
Is that when the squirrel did not hit you on the head?
I lived at that same place, at that same house on Sunset Avenue. We had a backyard that had these big walnut trees, and I think we had a sandbox in the backyard, and I was playing in the backyard. And my first experience is when a stupid squirrel dropped a nut on my head. It was a tragic experience. was painful. I remember that.
I'm sure.
The only other thing I remember about that house was it was really a small house. You come in the front door, and in the front door there was just a living space. And then behind the living space there was a kitchen that then looked into the backyard, and then if you turned left, the bedrooms were down a small,
There's
probably one bathroom down there.
one car garage.
And I remember Greg and I used to play all kinds of games. It was probably on a hardwood floor, and I remember getting in trouble. He and I were playing, and I had a pencil in my hand, and I remember stabbing him with the pencil. And Greg for years had this little spot of pencil lead in his leg where I'd stabbed him with his pencil. That's what I remember about Sunset. I remember being in, it was either kindergarten or preschool. I was never very patient. I always remember that the teacher would hand out a sheet of paper and say, okay, don't color anything, don't touch anything until you receive instructions. And I could never wait. So I'd always start coloring things in the color I thought they were supposed to be. Then she'd go, we're gonna paint this orange. And I go, crap, I painted it purple. And I'd always try to figure out how I was gonna get rid of the purple and make it orange. But I was always impatient waiting for instructions. Could never wait.